I don't see it here though.
Early trappers and traders.
Yeah, explorers. This is called what again?
A yellow earth tongue.
Yellow earth tongue. Look at this.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen that before. There's one over there
I
too.
often see those growing in groups.
Yeah. It's, I think they're just coming up. It looks like.
What does that look when it's mature?
It's kind of long like that, and.
Is it still yellow?
Yeah. That's a pretty bright yellow one. Yeah. We saw some up in the Felsenmeer, I think.
Trailing Arbutus.
Trailing Arbutus. There's the flower buds that are going to bloom. It used to grow in the Felsenmeer on the boulders. It probably has been there since the Ice Age, and the drought, in the early 90s, wiped them out.
Twin flower. What happens to this plant? I mean, does it have a flower eventually?
Yeah, it gets a stalk, really thin stalk, with two long tubular. They vary from white to pink. Big, and it's kind of shaggy, and it goes off to the side a little bit. Let's see how it goes sideways.
And this is kind of.
It grows in the Pacific Northwest in the Olympic rainforest area too.
We haven't seen any of this on our field trips, though, have we? Or not?
Might not have.
Shaggy moss. Okay. Star moss.
Well, yeah, because of the lack of leaves.
That's right.
This is called Luzula?
Luzula. L-U-Z-U-L-A.
It's
the genus.
See, I would just think that's a grass. But it's
no, see how it comes in threes? The pattern's in threes?
Yes, and it has a triangular stem too.
Beautiful.
Cool.
Beautiful. Vernia.
This
is a lichen community on a fallen twig. And this particular one is called Evernia.
Okay.
And it looks a lot like the horsehair lichens or old man's beard lichens called Usnea, but it's a lot thicker and it's a bit more pollution tolerant too.
Yeah. And then you have another lichen on there. Oh, there's a lot of lichens.
There are. You've got this. I don't know the names, but here's a little foliose lichen, a little blue one,
Right.
and then you have a larger blue one, and then this green foliose lichen here. So there's a lot of different.
Now
lichens.
this doesn't kill the plant though, huh?
No.
Look at that though. There's a lot on there. There's a lot of weight on that little limb. Wouldn't that break that maybe?
They could. I mean, potentially increase the weight of a tree in a snowstorm. Here's a Vernia behind it. You can see the comparison to Vernia's. I think that's a Vernia. It's thicker. Usnea is really thin and very pollution sensitive. So you know it's clean air when you get Usnea.
It's almost like that beard moss.
It's the same genus as the beard lichen. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful stuff. So you know you're breathing pure air.
One you were talking about, right?
That's a Vernia right there. Yeah.
This is called what?
It's I call it staghorn club moss. It's one of the common names. Some people call it wolf's paw club moss.
This is all one plant, then, right?
It's all one plant running on the ground.
People tear this out for Christmas decorations.
They
Don't
do.
do that.
Look at this one right here. Isn't that beautiful?
That's the same as the trailing lycopodium.
It is a trailing lycopodium. Yeah. Look at the two different totally different leaf forms of lycopodium. You've got the staghorn club moss and the ground cedar club moss. And they're so different, but they both make cones that look similar with the spores inside.
This is branches off like it's got two stems. Huh?
Sort of opposite looking branching.
That's pretty cool. This is Canadian
lousewort.
Oh, Canadian lousewort. Oh.
And if you go in the Rockies, there's all different colored flowers.
The cones for the staghorn moss. There's a whole field of it here.
Our creek bottom used to be covered with this stuff, and then the combination of that's round lobe hepatica, and that's the species that grows in the more acidic woods. And then the sharp lobe hepatica, which has larger leaves, blooms a little bit earlier. That grows in the richer forest.
Oh, yeah, we got a lot of this on that place.
These are one of the first
root system of the spruce, really.
Yeah. And that's why they get knocked over. People will have them in their lawns, and a storm comes or heavy snow, and they'll tip over because the root system is so shallow.
Oh, white pine's pretty shallow too, isn't it?
No, they're actually deeper than this. They, compared to an oak, they are.
Why do white pine get knocked over so often? Just because they're so big, maybe?
Yeah, and then they have a lot of.
They call that because of its color.
No, when it gets fertile stalks in the middle, and they look like cinnamon sticks.
Gall and a baby oak.
Yep, there's a little wasp larva in there. Probably a pupa by now.
And that's the ice fishermen used to cut those out for winter. Jelly fungus. It's very. Why do they call it jelly fungus? Just because
it feels like jelly.
Shakes like jelly.
Yeah, it's
jelly
a great
fungus
name project.
2006 swamp, really. or bog. I think they call it a bog, but I don't know if it's a bog or a swamp.
So that wasn't too many years off.
Okay.
They're interesting. They're purplish
This
red.
is called it Avens?
Avens, and I think that one's the water Avens.
Focus.
Yeah, there's a big one right down here.
Where?
Right down here.
Oh.
Actually, that's an agrimony. That's a different one that looks similar.
Agrimony.
See the little tiny leaflets between the bigger leaves?
Yeah.
That's an agrimony. That'll have little yellow flowers, and it has stick tights.
Agrimony.
Does it?
What is this? Checking out this moss out here. Little creek. This is one of the headwaters of the Brule.
And they'll form separate trees.
So it's a cedar trip that's tipping. They typically do this?
They do this. They do this over thousands and thousands of years. So then these branches, which look like separate trees, will start to tip, and they'll do the same thing. So they'll
put out.
And become new trees, and then they'll tip, and so they can do this over.
This will all become new trees. These
all
branches.
become new trees as it slowly tips into the
Kind
moss.
of like when we
Bed straw. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So here's gold thread, and along with miterwort, and gold thread has these thread-like golden roots, and this was an important medicine, the gold thread that herbalists used. They made a tincture of it to treat canker sores in the mouth, and it worked really well.
So what is gold thread? This is gold thread right here.
This is all gold thread, yeah.
Right here, gold thread.
And it's a little evergreen plant related to buttercups. Now here's the other plant we found, which I thought was gold thread. You can see why I got kind of thrown.
You don't know what this one is.
I think it's Waldsteini or Baron strawberry. But look at the difference in the roots. It's much thicker. It doesn't have the gold of the gold thread.
That's gold thread, and that's something else.
That's Waldsteinia. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Just a smaller form that I'm used to. So you
crested fern right here.
Here's some more right over here with the little cedar.
Oh, okay, over there.
Yeah.
Crested fern.
Crested fern. So we got crested fern, spinulose wood fern, and crested fern.
The crested is darker. Is that?
Yeah, it's evergreen. And the spinulose is the one that is tardily deciduous, or actually semi-evergreen. It stays green into winter, but eventually it'll die back.
Wow, it does look different than anything we've seen.
Yeah.
It's one big chunky. It's almost like that rat tripe. But
yeah, kind of leafy.
Yeah, look at that. And that's a moss. I lichen. That is unique.
Epiphyte means it
grows on other plants, grows on trees.
That's snowberry.
Yep, snowberry.
What's that? That's twin flower?
This is twin flower growing into the snowberry here.
Snowberry?
So here's a bunch of snowberry.
Snowberry where?
These little leaved ones are snowberry.
opposites.
Bunchberry.
On the twin flower, they're opposite. Because it's a honeysuckle.
Makes sense, yeah.
And they're opposite, but wait a minute, snowberry. Yeah.
Tiny round evergreen leaves, and it's alternately arranged, like 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
4.
yeah, I see it. Yeah.
This is a liverwort here. It's what they call a leafy liverwort. It's called Bizania. 3-lobe Bizania.
Liverwort.
This is a liverwort, not a moss, but a liverwort.
What's the difference between a liverwort and a moss?
Oh gosh, and how they reproduce. Mountain fern moss. Mountain fern moss. It's most delicate and ferny of our mosses. It's also common in the Pacific Northwest and the rainforests out there.
There's a whole field of it.
A whole bunch. It's all one plant.
Would you tend to find this in a bog?
You find it in swamps, yeah.
Swamp.
Moist, very moist woods. That's a different one.
Interrupted club moss.
Interrupted. And the reason they call it interrupted club moss is because where 1 year's growth meets the other, there's a little interruption. So you can tell how many years old a branch is.
Talking about the interrupted club moss. Yeah. There's a lot of it here.
And it's all one plant, just like the others.
One plant. God, it's huge though.
Yeah.
Maybe you.
Deer browsing pressure isn't that high. They browsed it a little bit over here. You can see to the snow line.
Okay. So this is good. So it means that maybe there's not that many deer back here.
Or the snow has been deep enough to protect it. You know, most winters.
Black ash swamp, and then over there's a cedar swamp.
Cedar swamp.
And why is that again? Why were we getting
And from what I understand, it has to do with the water flow and the chemistry of the water. The black ash swamps, they tend to be where the water is moving more, and there's a higher pH. Just a little bit, just a tiny bit
They're right
different.
next to each other.
They are, yeah. It's just that little bit.
How unique is this? Is it or not?
Oh, you see a lot of this.
Oh, okay.
Where you have cedar in one area and then black
Cedar?
ash in another. You get the same thing over in the cedar swamp by Spring Lake, where there's certain areas that are black ash, other areas are cedars. and it all has to do with the pH and the hydrology.
You know,
Okay, so we have the white paint lichen,
yeah, white paint,
which is a type of crustose lichen. It just makes a film. And then there's this other green crustose lichen. And creeping across the crustose lichens is the liverwort, Frulania, this little brown thing with little branches. And then we've got one kind of foliose lichen here, a second kind up here, and then some mosses. This moss that only grows on trees over here, and there's this other moss right here that is an epiphyte also. It grows on the trees. So you got a whole community of epiphytes of air plants growing on the trunk of this.
Now most of us go by this and we just sort of kind of ignore this. Why should we pay attention to something like this, Mike?
Well, it's a whole world in itself.
Yeah.
You know, if you were an ant, you'd be walking vertically through like aspen forest and pine forest and cedar swamps all on one trunk.
Yeah.
You know,
Because I don't want the North Country Trail people on.
Right.
In the Hayward area, it has been killed off. And
It's called Loberia.
Loberia.
And what is that again?
it is a large foliose lichen, but the difference between that and most other lichens is that it has a blue-green algae as a symbiont instead of green algae like most other lichens. The ones around it all have green algae.
It's more sensitive to air.
And it's, yeah,
Quality.
it's very sensitive to air
Well,
pollution.
here's something. We got a road just right over here. See that?
But that's not enough to...
That's not enough. You think what may have done it in Hayward, it was the LP point. Possible. You don't know for sure. One theory.
They disappeared. They started declining during the 90s.
The spore stalks of a sensitive fern.
And they're different from the
Ostrich fern, and the ostrich looks more like snakeskin, right?
Yeah, and these are round little beads.
round beads. It's hard
And they're
to get that
smaller.
focus.
Yeah.
It's hard to get. Oh, there it is.
It's focus. So these are round beads, sensitive fern.
Uh-huh.
Ostrich.
Great
Are-
for dried arrangements. They're just
Oh,
beautiful.
neat.
Yeah.
These are the
Oh, here, let me turn around. Look at that.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's spectacular.
They all look identical.
This is all one tree.
One tree. It's like a grove of bamboo. They all coming up from a single rootstock that started from one tiny little seed probably hundreds of years ago.
Oh.
The other neat thing about aspen, if you get closer, you see these little pores along the trunk here. And there's little ones like this, and there's bigger ones like this. And they're not necessarily where there used to be twigs. These are pores called lenticels. And the little ones, big ones. These are breathing pores because the cells that are alive right under the bark, they need oxygen. And they need to get rid of
Is that
carbon
unique
dioxide.
to aspen?
No. Some other trees, alders, birches are obvious lenticels
Breathing
too.
pores.
They're breathing pores. And the other neat thing is that if you scratch under the bark, and you notice that it's green underneath the bark. You see the green?
Yeah.
Is that the cells, living cells?
It photosynthesizes with its trunk and branches in the wintertime, whenever it's above
good.
freezing. So this is why aspen is the northernmost broadleaf tree. And it's because they don't even need leaves to photosynthesize. They can photosynthesize with their bark, under their bark.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So the light goes right through, and there's chlorophyll underneath there, photosynthesizing.
I wonder why they're everywhere.
So they need to get both carbon
You
dioxide
can see the green coming right through there.
and oxygen.
Yep,
right?
and so the carbon dioxide, that's another reason for the lenticels. It's to bring carbon dioxide in so that it's able to photosynthesize.
And that's not
in the bark.
cambium.
That's the chlorophyll underneath.
How unique is that?
It's fairly unique. I mean, most trees don't do that. They don't have chlorophyll under the
neat.
bark. So
Chlorophyll.
this is a different one. This is only an epiphyte.
What's going on here?
It's an epiphytic moss, one that only grows on trees, and it's saturated.
Yeah, that's very firm, right? It doesn't feel like it's dead. It feels like it's very much alive.
Yeah, let's see what we got here. It's a gills. It's a gill fungus. Yeah.
It's orange. It's like multi-sided, though.
Yeah, it's pretty firm.
Let's get a view over here.
Yeah, it has gills underneath. So
Gills underneath.
So it's a basidiomycete.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
I've never seen it just erupting out of the ground.
Yeah. Interesting. Is this the stalks back here?
Oh, the mycelium was down there. So if you dig down, you probably see the white threads of the mycelium. I don't know if in this wet weather if you can see much.
Oh, yeah.
This is the largest interrupted club moss I have ever seen by far.
So how big is it usually? Typically.
Usually it's only about that tall, so it's at least twice as tall as normal.
Why do you think it's so large here?
I think it's genetics. I think this
Genetics?
particular clone is just gigantic.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is that large.
Oh yeah, this is all one plant.
It's all one plant. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, that's what is that?
Fringed polygola. Fringed polygola. Some people call it milkwort, and it looks like a wintergreen. It's evergreen like a wintergreen, but it gets a flower in late spring that looks like a miniature Hawaiian orchid, magenta and white flower, just very very delicate.
Looks like insect wings.
The flower does, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, neat. It's pretty rare.
It's local. It's not everywhere.
It's three-lobed Bizania. That's a type of leafy liverwort. And if you look really closely with a hand lens, you'll see the three lobes. The other thing that gives it away is the dichotomous branching. It keeps branching like in twos outwards, and you don't see the mosses doing that.
That's green shield?
One of the green shield lichens.
Yeah. That's some kind of lichen on a tree.
Yeah,
it's a unique.
Big, but I can't get to it.
Yeah.
Maybe there'll be some closer.
It's
a new one.
It's hard to see with this camera.
I've not seen it before. There's a.
You don't know what this is? It's a lichen on a tree.
It's a lichen.
You've never seen this before, huh?
No. It could be a peltigera. It could be loberia. I'm not sure, but it's pretty spectacular. Whatever it is, it's just huge and pretty incredible.
We're liking it.
We're liking it a lot.
We're a bunch of nerds here. This is jelly.
A jelly fungus.
Jelly fungus, and it looks like jelly.
Yeah, it feels like jelly.
It feels like jelly. Is that edible or not?
I'm not sure.
Don't try this at home.
I wouldn't try it.
You sat here all day. I wonder what you'd all see.
This is just. Now you would consider this a bog, then, this part.
Yeah.
Because of the prominence of the sphagnum moss.
Sphagnum moss.
Yeah. And the camera's not working.
But yeah,
There it goes. Creeping snowberry. Look at it. It's all over the place. We don't usually see it like this, do you?
Not that thick.
No, not that much.
Snowberry.
Just one plant, one big old plant.
We don't see any of the white berries here.
No, they disappear fast. The critters get them.
We were fortunate.
So David, here's the boardwalk. Through the swamp. Bog. Oh, that's weird. This is called
Golden saxifrage.
Golden Saxifrage. And it's in a spring area.
It's springy places, yep. Cool stream banks, seeps. Tall meadow-rue.
Tall meadow-rue. And what kind of plant is that?
Well, it's in the buttercup family. It's a Electrum is the genus.
What's the other plant you were pointing to?
That's a medicinal plant.
Black snakeroot.
And what was that other plant we said that was an invasive?
Valerian.
Valerian.
Yeah, you
Like
get a picture
Sawyer.
of that so people know what it looks like.
Black snake root.
Like snake root.
Like the water dripping on it.
Native plant.
Native, yeah.
North on Highway 27.
Balsam popular leaves.
So here,
Kind of a rare popular.
So I hold a twig with it. So there's balsam poplar. The trunks, I guess somebody carved their initials, idiot. The trunks are usually a darker green than the other poplars. And the buds are really big and long, pointed. And if you scratch them, they smell like balsam. So you can smell them.
This is a balsam poplar.
Balsam poplar.
And they got huge leaves. Yeah, these are huge leaves. It doesn't even look like a poplar leaf.
It looks like a catalpa, doesn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, there's another one.
Red twig dogwood.
And it's so red. Oh, look at it.
Yeah, you get definitely red.
And this was used how?
As a kinnikinnick, as a smoking mixture by the Ojibwe.
That's
So
some
the inner
leaves?
bark was used.
This is a swamp thistle. It's a native thistle.
Native swamp thistle.
And it's the only one native thistle up here.
What is it?
The one on the left is sensitive fern, and the one on the right is ostrich fern. And both sporophylls.
Sensitive fern?
Sensitive fern, ostrich fern.
Spores.
They're related.
Yeah.
And there's a little snail. That's what that is in the middle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a tiny little snail crawling up. And
Oh, wow.
they both the sporophylls or the fertile fronds, they stay on all winter long. And so you can make dried arrangements out of both of them. Let me turn them around. You can see the bottom sides there. They're really pretty, really nice.
Yeah, this is Lobarium.
Loberia, yeah.
Loberia.
The darker olive green one.
Loberia?
I have no idea. I have to look that one up. I've never
Mike
seen that
is stumped
before.
again.
Yeah, a new one. Yeah, it's wonderful to be stumped.
That's why we come out here.
So,
Oh, look at it. It looks like mud almost, but it's just wet, I guess.
Yeah.
Called,
great seeing both of them.
this is called black earth tongue? No. What can you tell me about black earth tongue?
It's an ascomycete, and that's about all I know about it.
And it's not dead, huh? It's just a lot. I mean, it's just happens to be black. I'm not gonna break it, but it's that's the color it should be.
Yep.
And is it a moss?
No, it's a fungus.
A fungus.
It's an ascomycete fungus.
It looks like a tongue, little tongue.
Ones, yeah.
Mike, what can you tell me about this?
Well, it's a crustose lichen, which makes like a film on the trees, and the black structures, the little black dots.
What is it? You don't know
are
what that is?
Sauridia. That's the
Sauridia?
fruiting bodies. It has the algal cell with the fungal thread.
You've never seen anything like that?
I've not seen this lichen, and apparently it's just growing on cedar.
It's a wet environment here. You see that?
It's a colony of different kinds of sphagnum all growing together.
Yeah. Invasive valerium. Let me get here.
Valerian.
Valerium.
And it's from
Invasive
Europe.
plant.
It's from Europe, and it's spreading more and more and more.
Yeah. All this valerium?
This is one big plant, and here's the flower stalk. As you can see, it was really tall.
Oh my God.
And it's clusters of white flowers.
A
Northern pin oak.
pin oak, and we can tell the pin oak.
Well, not pin oak, northern pin oak. There's another
Northern
tree
pin
called
oak.
pin oak, which.
You know how we
doesn't
can
grow.
tell this is a northern pin oak, or this is a.
This time of year, the deep lobes. A northern red oak on the left, and the northern pin oak on the right.
Big
And
difference.
big difference. In the summertime, northern pin oak, the upper surface is much glossier too. Has much more wax on the cuticle than the red oak does.